of all that stuff, and talk about how we can create the kind of reality that we need to move our people forward. I had the fortunate opportunity, thanks to a new ambassador we have, Sister Desiree Waller, out of Houston. She's been absolutely wonderful as it relates to putting us out there, our message and our mission, and helping us better establish ourselves in the greater Houston, Texas area. She was able to get me on the radio. Shout out to Real Talk about sex trafficking. Sadly, her mother was murdered. She was sex trafficked is the way to say it, past tense. She had been involved in sex trafficking from a very early age, and a part of her platform is pushing back to make sure, or do what she can to make sure that when someone is if someone is shown to exhibit the signs of being sex trafficked, she was talking about things that we can do to put things in place to push back against that. And after listening to the sister's very heavy, heartfelt story, her background, what happened to her mother, as usual, I tend to focus on remedies and solutions. And of course, she was trying to do the same thing. I tend not to get bogged down in the problems of it, or the or whose fault it is, or pointing fingers, because at the end of the day, for me, as it relates to Black people, people of color, melanated people, I'm about what are we going to do about it. If we're not going to do anything about it, if we're not prepared to do anything about it, then let's not waste time talking about it. So when she got finished, they went to a break, and then it was my turn to speak next. One of the first things that I said, and this goes to my point about what I want to talk about today, it has less to do, our situation, our reality has less to do with what we're owed and more to do about how we think, because how we think determines everything. How we think determines how we behave, and how we behave determines our reality, and how we behave in this reality determines what kind of future we're going to have, good, bad, or otherwise. So one of the first things I said when I came back, when they came back from break, and it was my turn to talk, the sister asked me, of course, my name, the organization, and what it was about. And one of the first things that I said was, after giving my name and the organization, Black Gold Movement and whatnot, I said that one of the things that we could do as a collective group, as a collective tribe, as a community, one, and this was just in a matter of minutes listening to the sister talk, because again, my mind thinks about solutions, not just problems or pointing the finger, but concrete solutions. One of the things that we could do to push back against sex trafficking as it relates to what's happening in and around our communities. And again, this wouldn't just be for Black people; it would be for anybody. But I am always thinking about Black people first because, surprise, I'm Black. So I say one of the things that we could do if we were serious about fixing this problem, if we were connected and organized in a fashion that will allow us to fix a problem. I said, if somebody got on the phone tonight and made a call to a church, and that church got on the phone and made calls to two churches, network of churches that have agreed to work on fixing this sex trafficking issue, we could create an underground, a 21st century underground railroad to deal with sex trafficking. If a person is exhibiting signs of being sexually trafficked, if a person is exhibiting signs of being sexually abused, if a person is exhibiting signs of being caught up in that loop of the business of sexually being trafficked, that person could be immediately taken off the streets, put in the 21st century underground railroad, and be in another state in 24 hours. And if we were to get more savvy with that solution, they could be in another country. And the reason why I say that is the sister was talking about how difficult it is, the sister who was being interviewed on the radio station, she was talking about how difficult it is to help people like that because they're being watched, they're being monitored, their phones are being cloned. So it's not easy for them to reach out, and it's not easy for somebody else to reach out to them. However, if we had a 21st century underground railroad, then the fear of the pimp finding out would be irrelevant. The fear of the other girls involved in the trafficking finding out would be irrelevant. the fear of that individual being scooped up and beat up or murdered or whatever would be irrelevant, because we'll be able to immediately remove them from the situation and physically put them in a spot where they're going to be safe, and they could be healed, or the healing process could begin. And that was one example that came to mind as the sister was talking. If we were connected and organized, we could establish in less than a week a 21st century underground railroad of sorts that will allow us to quickly pick up someone on the street if they're caught up in that kind of lifestyle and or situation, and move them to another physical location that will allow them to be safe. And again, that can happen in a week. We have that ability to create that kind of solution to the problems that we're facing as a national community. We have that kind of ability right now to create those kinds of solutions that are going to allow us to move forward in an organized, methodical, strategic, professional, intelligent fashion that's going to push back against all the things that we're facing. If we're organized, and if we're connected, and if we're serious about creating answers, solutions to the problems that are plaguing our communities and our people, then that's a game changer. Again, we know we're owed. We know reparations are due. We know that we built the country. We know that entities that exist right now today in 2019 got their start in slavery. We know that the large family names that have created generational wealth, a lot of them, if not all of them, got their start in slavery. We know that every president, when slavery was legal, owned slaves. We know all of that. It's hard to dispute all of that. If one were to run the numbers, it would be very easy to prove that America would not be America were it not for slavery. That's the easy part, proving that we're owed. The hard part is getting that power to be taken from one group and given to another. We have to understand that power is never given, power is never shared, power is taken. And if we were organized and connected, then we would be able to hold those accountable to pay us what we're owed, in a fashion where if they don't pay us what we're owed, we can make their lives uncomfortable. But we're not that connected and we're not that organized yet. So my contention is not that we should not fight for what we're owed. My contention is not that we should not talk about reparations because we're owed reparations. My contention is not that we should not be a part of a national organization and or effort to get what we owed. My contention is that we can't afford to wait, or we can afford to put all our eggs in that one basket, or we can afford not to be aggressively moving in a fashion that's going to allow us to build our own communities for our own selves, for our own children, regardless if we're paid what we're owed. Again, it's less about what we're owed and more about how we think. How we think determines everything. For example, going back to the radio station, I offered a solution, a very feasible, realistic solution based on a very simple thought that I had. If someone were to capitalize on that thought and make it a reality, that creates in less than a month, a week to get a national organization of churches on board, another week to work out the details, another week to maybe allocate spaces or room or whatever. And then inside of a month, inside 4 weeks, you have a system whereby a person that's being sex trafficked or sexually trafficked can be moved from one location to another, completely off the grid, and no one ever knows. That's a solution based on a thought a person has. And if you have the right people in place, that thought can become action, and that action can become a reality. We have the ability right now to change our condition if we believed we could and if we wanted to. I am in the process of I'm having I think like 10 presentations in the greater Houston area in the month of July, and then in August I'm on the road to ensure we have strong ambassadorships in certain cities nationwide per our strategy moving forward in 2020. I am out almost every day in the greater Houston, Texas, talking to Black people, and what I say to them in an effort to get their contact information, I say, excuse me, brother or sister, can I give you a flyer really quickly and ask you a quick question? Most of them say yes, and I give them the flyer and I say the question is, we're looking for 25 Black people in this area that are ready, willing, and able, or open to making the lives of Houston's Black communities better. Are you interested in that sort of thing? That's my simple statement to them. Most of them say yes. Most of them give me their contact information. Most of the contact information is correct. But sometimes people say no. Sometimes Black people tell me no as to them being interested. These are Black people. They tell me no as to them being interested in working to make Houston's Black communities better. Black people tell me no, because that's how we think. A lot of us think that way. A lot of us won't come right out and say it, but a lot of us think that Black people cannot do. A lot of us don't believe in Black people. A lot of us have problems being Black. A lot of us see Black and equate that automatically with nigger. A lot of us think of ourselves as niggas. So it's easy for us to not think of think of other Black people as being worth enough to put in time, energy, and effort. Makes it easy for us to sell drugs, to physically assault, to rape, to murder, or whatever, another Black person, because we see ourselves as niggas. So you look just like me, so you're a nigga too. That's based on how we've been conditioned to think. It doesn't matter if what we're owed is paid, if our mind isn't right to receive that payment and do something with it. Again, I am not saying we're not owed. I'm not saying we shouldn't be paid. I'm saying, are we ready? Not only are we ready to receive that payment if it ever comes, but there are things we can do right now to ensure that if that payment comes or not, we're still moving ourselves forward in a unified fashion that's going to make our people bigger, better, and stronger. The reparations analogy, the reparations reality, can be analogous to someone steals $5 from you. You need that $5 to eat lunch. And I know this is simple, but I'm trying to make a point. They steal $5. You need the $5 to eat lunch. They don't give you the $5 back, or let's say they owe you the $5. They don't give it back to you when they're supposed to. You have the ability to go out and make another $5. What makes more sense? For you to go without eating because they didn't give you what they owe you, although they know they owe you, or for you to go make another $5 so you can feed yourself? That doesn't mean that you don't pursue what you're owed. That means you still got to eat. So you do what you got to do to remake the money you got to make as you continue to work on them to pay you what they owe you. We have that ability. We need to do what we need to do to make another $5 so that we can eat while always working to get what's owed to us paid to us. We have to be able to chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Some of us have to be able to chew bubblegum, walk at the same time, double dutch, and do a backflip. We have to be able to work on multiple fronts. And being Black in America, most of us, we're kind of used to that. Working in two worlds and working and existing on multiple fronts. It's kind of what being Black in America is all about. Having to live in two worlds, work and exist simultaneously, work and exist on two different levels in multiple circles. Most of us are used to that kind of thing because it comes with the territory. What I'm saying is that we have to put things in place. We absolutely need to put things in place that will allow us to take care of ourselves regardless if reparations are coming or not. And we have that ability. One simple example of what's possible if we were serious and had the right mindset to make it happen. This is one example. And I have several, but this is just one. If one Black person goes out and gets another Black person, and those two Black persons say, we want to make a difference in Black communities, and those two Black persons go get two more on the next day. On that second day, they have 4. Those 4 on the third day go out and get another 4, and that makes 8. On the fourth day, that 8 go out and get another 8, and on the 5th day, they have 16. If every person that it brings in goes out and brings in another Black person the next day, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, so on and so forth, by the 27th day of one getting one, by the 27th day, you'd have enough people that if each of them gave $4 per month, that will equal over $500 million a month. One getting one, all of them paying $4 a month, $500 million per month. One example. What could we do as a collective community with $500 million per month? No, it's not the trillions that we're owed. No, it's not reparations that we're owed. No, it's not a complete 100% solution to what we're owed. But would it help? What could we do with $500 million per month? How many schools could we build? How many hospitals could we build? How many teachers could we employ in those schools that we built? How many Black people can we train and equip to secure the Black community? How many Black farms could we save? How many urban gardens could we start? How many manufacturing plants could we build? How many manufacturing plants could we take over in this country and build in other places with $500 million per month? How many Black businesses that are currently profitable could we support to help them become more profitable? How many Black ideas could we incubate and put money behind them to help them launch and be bigger, better, and stronger? What could we do with $500 million per month? Money that we currently have that we're not using in an organized fashion. Again, it has less to do with what we're owed and more about how we think. Because if you think you're less, it doesn't matter what someone gives you. It doesn't matter what you're paid. It doesn't matter about the opportunities, because if you think you're less, you're not going to take advantage of them. It's like my barber so eloquently said to me a few years ago, and I use this analogy all the time because it makes perfect sense. He said, if a crackhead wins the lottery, they're still a crackhead. It's just a crackhead with money. A people or a person who aren't ready to do it, doesn't matter what you give them. It doesn't matter what you repay them. It doesn't matter what you place in front of them. If they're not ready, they're going to squander it. And let's say if reparations are paid, if what we owed is given or the process is started, there's still so many things that we need to have in place so that we can take advantage of it. And that having in place has to be us being organized, connected, and having a plan to do something with whatever is coming. I'm saying if we act as if nothing is coming, and if we act as if all we have is one another, and if we act as if if we're willing to invest and save one another, then that is enough for us to put things in place to create a different kind of reality for ourselves moving forward. The $500 million a month example is a realistic example, but it's only based on a large number of people giving a small amount of money. If the analogy that I just gave of one getting one, and then on the 27th day, all of them giving $4 a month, what if everybody gave $5? What if everybody gave $6? What if some gave 10? We have more money to do what we need to do with. Money is not our issue. Intellectual capital is not our issue. Physical capital is not our issue. Spiritual capital is not our issue. Our two primary issues is that we're not connected and we're not organized. If we're connected and if we're organized, everything that we have to move ourselves forward, we can then bring under the fold of one umbrella and do something as a collective group. Once we decide, if we decide to do something as a collective group, that's checkmate. Because nothing can stop Black people that are committed to doing whatever they want to do as they move forward. I communicate with the Black people from around the country every single day. A lot of us talk about caring about Black people. A lot of us talk about wanting better for Black people. A lot of us talk about wanting to be involved in the solution. But once those persons are given the opportunity, they don't do. And a lot of them don't do because they're simply not serious about doing, despite the fact that the reality of the Black condition is evident. If you're paying attention, you can see the state of Black people. You can see the state of our communities. You can see how we're being miseducated, how we're being unfairly treated by the criminal justice system. A lot of us, if you're really paying attention, you can see the food deserts in our communities. You can see the lack of job opportunities in our communities. We are at the top of every bad list and the bottom of every good list. Despite the fact that most of us know that, we might not have the concrete details to prove that, as far as a logical argument, if you will. But a lot of us know that something's not right as it relates to Black people in this country, but we do nothing about it. We see what's going on and we do nothing about it. Sadly, the majority of us, we don't have faith that we can do, despite the fact that we've been doing for others for over 400 years. A lot of us don't believe that what we do for others, we can do for ourselves. A lot of us don't believe that Black can do. A lot of us don't believe that Black has value. A lot of us don't believe that Black can be intelligent on its own without other people. A lot of us don't believe that Black can use that intelligence along with that Black physical and that Black spiritual and that Black economic and build something. I tell Black people, I ask Black people, what if we did for ourselves what we've done for others and moved forward? What if we did again what we've done for other people, but for ourselves and moved forward? What if we gave the kind of money we gave to the movie Black Panther, over $500 million in 1 month, and move forward? What if we take a percentage of the money that we give to the Black church every week, conservatively speaking, $250 million every single week? Every single week, what if we gave that to ourselves as far as building power and move forward? We have the money because we're giving it. We have the people because we know our people are there. We have the intellectual capital because Black people are not stupid. But we have yet to come together in an organized fashion to make all of those pieces work together on the same board so that we can move forward in a unified fashion. That is what the Black Gold Movement is all about. We're about utilizing what we already have to move our people forward, to ensure we take the control of our destiny in our own hands so we can create the kind of future that we want. And again, we are not saying that we're not owed. That's a given. We're not saying that reparations aren't due. That's a given. We're not saying that any national movement that's focused on that is wrong, because they are not. We're saying we can't afford to wait for that to happen, because it might not. Being right doesn't matter. Logic, correctness, righteousness doesn't matter when you're dealing with people who are evil. We have to operate as if those reparations are never coming. We have to operate as if our lives depend on one another, because it does. We have to operate as if our future is not guaranteed, because it isn't, and then function as if we've accepted that truth. And if we don't change how we behave as it relates to that truth, we may not be here, or be here in a permanent second-class status. I was in a meeting. I was invited to a community meeting this past Monday. Shout out to my brother Lloyd Ford of I always get the name of the organization wrong. The name of the event was the Black Agenda. If you want to know more about it, go to Facebook, type in Black Agenda. The brother's been inviting me for a minute. I haven't been able to make it, but I finally made it to a meeting, and I will be at the rest of the meetings moving forward. I was listening to some of the arguments about, not arguments, conversations, statements that Black people are making about what needs to happen in the Black community, and everybody's statements were on point. After the meeting, I was talking to Black people about what we do, the Black Gold Movement, and solutions, and sadly, not everybody believed that we could fix it. Sadly, not everybody believed that Black people could fix it. Sadly, not everybody believed that without white people's assistance, we can fix it. If we need white people to fix what they broke, then what happens if they don't fix it? What happens to me? What happens to you? What happens to my children, your children, every Black child that's coming after us? Are we just going to say, tough shit, you're on your own because white people didn't help us? Are we going to say, tough shit, you're on your own because white people didn't give us reparations? Are we going to say, tough shit, you're on your own because we weren't paid what we were owed? We've never operated that way. We've never operated as if our lives or our ability to move forward is based on what someone else does for us. And again, let me be clear. I'm not saying that we're not owed. I'm not saying that reparations aren't due. I'm saying we can't afford to expect somebody to follow through on that promise, because as King says, that promise, they want us a blank check or a check with rubber on it. But that's okay, because we have enough to move ourselves forward. And if we do this thing the right way, we are not the only melanated people on the planet. We, the melanated population, outnumber the non-melanated population 7-1. If we do this thing the right way, then as I said in my Facebook post, what's old would be gravy. If we only did business with ourselves, if we only sought to do business with ourselves, if we only sought to communicate and align ourselves with ourselves, then like the Chinese, we would be a nation. And we will be a nation that has influence, value, and power that other nations will have to respect. But to do that, you have to be organized and you have to be connected. And what we're saying in the Black Gold movement is that our biggest issue is organization and connectivity. Because if we're organized and connected, we can put our people in a position where all of that trauma that's been forced upon us over the last 400 years, we can get treatment. Because we can have our own institutions in our own communities, surrounded by our own security, so we can move ourselves forward. That never happens if you have the right people that think the right way. And we know those people already exist because we found a good number of them. We just got to find more. No movement moves without people. The Black Gold movement is no different. We have a number of things that we're working on right now that we're about to roll out this month, a few more next month, and for the rest of the year. Most of them deal with us having the ability to feed ourselves in our own communities, which is attached to us having Black Gold Hustle Centers or Conscious Community Centers, which is a physical presence in multiple cities across the board. Some of it deals with us having our own crypto. There are many Black groups that have Black cryptocurrency, but the cryptos have no value because they're not in use, and they're not in use because they're not connected to anything that will allow them to be used. Another reason why it's so important that we have connectivity in the organization, because if we have our own crypto and we have a physical presence in multiple cities nationwide, and all of those institutions are focused on recapturing the economics in the community so that we can only control every business in our community, then that crypto has value because we're using that crypto, which is extremely important because we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet economically and financially. Everything we do in the Black Gold movement is to move Black people forward. And we're of the mindset that everything we need, we already have. We're simply not organized and connected and on the same page. So our goal is to find as many Black people as possible who want to make some things happen and be on the same page as other Black people so that we can move forward. And there's nothing stopping us from doing that but us. Again, yes, we're old. We know that. Again, yes, reparations are old. We know that. But we cannot afford to wait for it to be paid before we do. And a lot of us are saying that we're old, they need to fix it, and we're waiting on them to do it. That's a mistake. Because what if they don't? The reparations argument is not a new one. The reparations claim is not a new one. I don't think people don't know that without American slavery involving African people, America wouldn't be America. People know that, but are they going to pay us what they owe? That's a lot of power. Power in the history of humankind has never been given or shared. Power is always taken, and power only respects power. And another caveat, another very serious caveat to this reparations conversation. We have a lot of groups in this country that are anti-Black. We have a lot of organizations in this country that are anti-Black people. We have a lot of organizations in this country that blame Black people for the problems in the country, amazingly. What if the reparations argument becomes so pervasive, everybody's talking about it, that these anti-Black groups want to take physical action against us because they see us as trying to take their country from them? We're not ready to defend ourselves if that happens. We're not ready to push back against a physical threat like that if it happens. We have to be ready for what we say we want. We have to be ready for the ramifications that might come from that argument. It's almost every day, if you pay attention to the news, some white person has gone off on some other group of people from stabbing to shooting to kidnapping to robbing. You know, these mass killings aren't being done by people of color. White men are doing this crazy stuff. If we're saying we're owed this money, and to give this money changes the lives and our lifestyle of people who are already anti-us, and they blame us for yet another blemish on their white existence, and they say to hell with it, these black people are the problem, we need to start killing all of them and wiping them out. Are we ready for that? Can we defend ourselves from that? Can we defend our families from that? Can we fight together as a community to push back against that? No, 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 and no. We got to be ready for that. That starts with how we think. We can never get to the point where we're organized to push back against a physical threat if we haven't thought about the physical threat. We got to be able to feed ourselves. We got to be able to clothe ourselves. We got to be able to educate ourselves. We have to be able to protect ourselves. And we have to do that in an environment that we own and control. That's a lot of work. That's never going to happen just because someone gives you money that they owe you. That's never going to happen just because the conditioning that's been forced upon us over the last 400 years. I'm saying the Black Gold Movement is all about that. We understand that to win, we have to be in an environment where we're safe. In order for us to be in an environment where we're safe, we have to own and control that environment. In order for us to own and control that environment, we got to economically enough black people that are willing to put in the work to bring us together economically to let our program and or a plan that could work to bring us together economically so that we can build our own stuff and have our own thing. If it doesn't start in our heads, it doesn't start at all. It's less about what we're owed and more about how we think, because how we think determines everything. And we've been conditioned to think in ways that are anti our own progress. We have to reverse all of that conditioning that's been forced upon us over the past 400 years. And nobody's going to reverse that except black people. That's what the Black Gold Movement is all about. Building power for black people so that we can take care of ourselves and do our own thing. And anything that's coming to us, anything that we fight for politically, anything that we're owed will simply be gravy, because we're going to move regardless. We're not going to wait for the person to pay us our $5 so that we can eat. We're going to go generate another $5 and eat on that day as we continue to work on that person to pay us what they owe us. That's how we win. We win by relying upon one another. We win by depending on one another. We win by working together, because if we don't, we're going to lose. We win by understanding our strength lies in what we do as a group, not what we do as individuals. Individual success means nothing when you're fighting against systems. Individual success means nothing when you're fighting against institutions. Individual success means nothing when you're fighting against organized aggression. There are countless stories. We have countless stories of individual success, but black people are still losing. So what does individual success matter if your people are losing? If we're going to win, we have to work together, put some things in place to build it and do our own thing, and then move forward as if our lives depended on it, because it does. It's less about what we're owed and more about how we think, because how we think determines everything. So if you want more information about the Black Gold Movement, please go to our website, blackgoldnation.com. Click on About, read our mission. If the mission makes sense to you, go to our events website and RSVP for a presentation, blackgold-wakandarising.com. We have online presentations every Wednesday, and we have live presentations on Thursday and Saturday. For the month of July, we'll be in the greater Houston, Texas area as far as our physical presentations, and after that, we'll be traveling the country. But if you're not where we're going to be, if you are, we want you to be a part of what we're doing, because we have a lot of things that we're working on, a lot of things that we're doing. But if you're not local and you still want to know, you still want to be a part, you still want to plug in, then catch a live presentation that happens every Wednesday. I'm sorry, an online presentation that happens every Wednesday. And that's on our events website, blackgold-wakandarising.com. Again, going back to the very beginning of this live broadcast, we have the ability to create a 21st century underground railroad to push back against sex trafficking that could save the lives of hundreds of thousands of young men and women who are caught up in this multi-billion-dollar business. That is as simple as someone putting that thought into motion to create a different kind of reality for people. That's one example. There is nothing we cannot do once we put our minds to doing whatever we need to do. Again, Black people are not intellectually deficient. Everything we need, we already have. We're simply now organized in a fashion that will allow us to use everything we have. In the Black Gold movement, I'm saying we're trying to use everything we have so that we can move ourselves forward. Go to our main website, blackgoldnation.com. You click on About, read the mission. If it doesn't make sense to you, click on that tab, Why We Must Build, and watch some videos. We have a collection of videos from multiple sources that explain why we have to build and do our own thing. It's not just coming from me. It's not just coming from Black people. It's coming from people from all shades, all colors, all ethnicities, talking about what has happened and what's been done to Black people in America, African Americans, and slaves. It's all there. If you don't get it after watching some of those videos, you either don't want to get it or you're in denial because it's there. No one is going to save Black people. Ain't no white horse coming with somebody riding on it dressed in white to save Black people. If Black people are to be saved, it's going to have to come from Black people because no one else cares enough to do so. No one else is going to be that committed to doing so, and it has to come from us. But thankfully, everything we need, we already have. We simply have to be organized and connected in the fashion that will allow us to use it. So again, if you want more information about the Black Gold movement, go to our main website, blackgoldnation.com, click on About, read the mission. If you like the mission, if it makes sense to you, see a presentation so you can become a part of what we're doing, and you can help us build a Black Gold Nation with power by going to our events website at blackgold-wakandarising.com. I'm going to make sure I don't have any questions, and then we will be done. Thank you, Brother Gerard, for making it. Brother Larry, I still need that contact information for the sister in San Antonio. I need somebody that I can touch base with once I get there. Brother Eric, thank you for making it. Sister Nanette, thank you. Sister Tueri, thank you for making it. Brother Richard, thank you. Free People News, thank you for making it. Brother O'Neill, thank you. It took me a while. I see you got another account. Brother Keith, how you doing? Thank you for making it. Sister Brent, Sister Briante, I think that's how you say your name. Thank you for making it. Brother Vernon, thank you. Sister Shakesha, thank you. Sister Nzenga, thank you. I'm not sure if you're watching, Mr. Irvin, but if you are, thank you for watching. Brother Eddie, thank you for making it. Brother Siddiqui, thank you. Brother Allen, my cousin Joetta, thank you for making it. Brother Ron, Sister Gwendolyn, Brother Lloyd, thank you. Brother David, Mr. Henderson from the military, thank you for making it. Dr. Tawana, thank you. Brother William, Brother Italo, I need to talk to you. We need to do some work in Houston, brother. Brother William, thank you for making it. Brother William says, yes, the groom and the domestication that psychologically hold in place as we try to live in the big house. I think he's saying that we have to change how we think because we've been, I guess, psychologically domesticated to live in America's institutions and live as Americans as if we have everything that other Americans have. So we have to change that. I think that's what the brother is saying, which I agree with. And lastly, Sister Kimberly, thank you for making it. So thank you guys. I think it's my niece. Thank you guys for making the live broadcast. I sincerely appreciate it. Again, blackgoldnation.com for more information. Black Gold Wakanda Rising to RSVP for a presentation. Thank you guys for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. Share this with 5 or 10 Black people. Go to YouTube and like us on YouTube because I have to get our subscription rate up so that I can do a live broadcast in a more professional fashion, but you got to have a certain amount of people to do it a certain way. So like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube so that we can get our subscription rate up so that we can continue to make moves for Black people nationwide. So thank you guys very much. Take care. God bless and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.